Hey everyone, I post 60-second space news shorts every weekday on social media. This week we had the first commercial spacewalk, an attempt to analyze the atmosphere on Pluto, and a warning that NASA's short-term success may be coming at the cost of long-term investment. There's lots more in the video, so if you missed the daily updates, enjoy this edit of all the stories, please follow, drop a like on the video so we can spread the space science love. The Polaris Dawn mission will make another attempt to launch on a Falcon 9 just after midnight tonight after a series of weather delays. If everything goes according to plan, the mission will see the first spacewalk from a commercial crew. The mission is expected to last around 5 days. According to Elon Musk, SpaceX plans to send the first Starship missions to Mars in just 2 years. If those early uncrewed flights go well, crewed missions could begin in 4 years, and Musk envisions a self-sustaining city on Mars in around 20 years. Colonization of Mars has long been a dream of Musk's, but Starship is still in testing. The fifth test flight could happen soon and is expected to see Super Heavy attempting to land back on the launch map. This feature will allow much more rapid inspection and reuse of the rocket, possibly down to just a few hour turnaround time eventually. Finally, check out this amazing still image from a video of a prominence on the Sun captured by astrophotographer Mark Johnston. The full story behind this amazing picture and video is over at space.com. The Polaris Dawn mission successfully launched last night on a Falcon 9. Now, private astronaut crew will begin studying the radiation environment in Earth's Van Allen radiation belts and performing the first commercial spacewalk. There's a cool article over at The Conversation by scientists at South Africa's University of the Western Cape who've been studying Pluto. The once planet recently passed directly in front of a background star, an event called an occultation. When you're standing on the right place on Earth and Pluto is exactly in the middle of the star, it acts like a lens and focuses the light from the star into a brief flash. By studying this flash and how much the light is colored and bent by Pluto, scientists can learn a lot about the dwarf planet's atmosphere. Until 1988, we didn't even know Pluto had an atmosphere, and these occultation events are one of the few ways of studying that atmosphere without sending a mission to Pluto. Fans of sci-fi show The Expanse will recall Ceres as the base of the Belters. A real dwarf planet about 1,000 kilometers across, Ceres has long been a bit of a mystery to astronomers. It's the largest object between Mars and Jupiter and has a complicated geology unlike other asteroid belt objects. NASA's Dawn spacecraft discovered ammonium deposits on its surface while studying Ceres between 2015 and 2018. Generally, ammonium is only stable in the outer solar system, so astronomers thought Ceres must have formed further out and gradually migrated to the inner solar system. The big question was, how did it do that? New analysis of whitish deposits spotted in craters on the surface of Ceres suggests significant cryovolcanic activities. Scientists think the ammonium-rich deposits are a result of a brine that has seeped to the surface from inside Ceres over billions of years. This explains the ammonium on the surface of Ceres and means it formed where it is today and not in the outer solar system. A super cool finding, and there's lots more details over at the Max Planck Institute website. 2 crew members from the Polaris Dawn mission successfully completed the first commercial spacewalk in orbit this morning, starting around 6:12 a.m. Eastern and ending about 2 hours later. In addition to being a cool achievement, the spacewalk represents a test of SpaceX's new EVA spacesuits, as well as significant modifications to the Crew Dragon capsule and a new laser communication system allowing much higher bandwidth communications with Earth. The Sun is at it again with a very active week for solar flares and coronal mass ejections, and another X-class solar flare just this morning. The aurora forecast shows plenty of activity at high and mid latitudes into this weekend, with KP indices as high as KP6. KP6 is a moderate magnetic storm that could produce aurora as far south as Dublin Island and New York City in the northern hemisphere, or as far north as Christchurch in New Zealand in the southern hemisphere. A nearly full moon isn't ideal and might make the aurora harder to see from some locations. A new report from the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine is sounding a warning for the future of NASA, noting the agency has been prioritizing its many short-term successes at the cost of long-term projects for too long. Adjusted for inflation, NASA's budget has essentially remained flat for decades, even as its facilities age and its missions have become more complicated and costly. 83% of NASA's buildings have exceeded their design lifetimes, and red tape makes any major repairs and improvements challenging. The report highlights the Deep Space Network, whose 3 dishes spread around the world are managed by NASA and are critical to deep space communication. The DSN budget has fallen $50 million in the past decade, even as more missions are relying on it. The conclusion is that either NASA will need to cut some missions and focus more of the funding it has on long-term infrastructure, or the NASA budget needs a significant increase. Which way Congress decides to go in the future will be critical to how this plays out for NASA.